the probability that Yahweh is the one true God in Amun-Ra, Aphrodite.
I do respect the idea that some of us are standing in the shoulders of giants and all that, but like the Gen X and the boomers, very smart guys who decided to like proclaim atheism the new like law of the land. They are so silly from the perspective of us, the millennials and the Gen Z brilliant guys. It's like they're like Don Quixote just fighting these windmills and stuff. Like the whole thought of like, yes, all religions are like the false in the scientific sense of like, is this proposition true or false? Like, yeah, that should have been like a 12-minute conversation. And then after those 12 minutes, you should instead be like, okay, let's rank them now by like the much more interesting properties they have. Let's figure out which of those systems is more ethical. Let's figure out which of those systems create a better society. Let's figure out which of those systems has like a family night to play board games and without television. Let's figure out if it's a good idea to have a Sabbath and, separate some time to hang out with your family and to have a good time. Let's figure out which of those systems causes women, like intelligent women, to have more than 2.1 children. Let's figure out which of those systems has created the societies that generated the kind of science that's going to allow us to colonize space and transcend the universe and prevent existential risk. Let's figure out which of those systems generated the best mythologies, the best stories, the best videos, the best movies, the best books, the best literature, and so on and so forth. But they have this like stunted growth development because they've been traumatized by the religious upbringing of their parents. And they just like they literally spent decades and decades and decades just like saying, oh, and by the way, it isn't true that Yahweh exists, and it isn't true that God, like seriously, I mean, look, Dawkins and Dennett, because they're so brilliant, it's like it's a little bit more tolerable. But like Michael Shermer and these other guys, and Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris, and like the whole shebang, it's like what a fucking waste, guys. Like we know. Like it takes 12 minutes to figure out, okay, all religions are false. No one's saying otherwise, right? Like every reasonable person understands there is no God, Jesus didn't resurrect, etc., etc. You can still ask the question, like, is Yahweh the one true better God than the others? And the answer to the question is like 100% yeah, right? Like from a fitness standpoint, guaranteed, right? It took over 80% of the world economy and about like 40% of the world population. So yes, Yahweh is objectively, factually speaking, Yahweh is the best God. So you can tell that with some probability, and the probability is way higher than 50%, okay? And then you can ask much more interesting questions, which is, of the Yahweh people, the Jews, the Catholics, the Mormons, the whatever, which ones are the best? And the best are the Mormons, just in case you're wondering, because, like, have you ever met the Mormons? They're really cool, they're really nice, they're really fun. Like religion is a technology like any other, and I think that a lot of these like stunted growth Gen X and Boomer brilliant guys who like got caught in the idea that you have to spend your life like thinking about the propositional value of the facts of religion, they kind of like missed the memorandum and lost the narrative, so to speak. And thank goodness for like Jordan Peterson, who kind of connected the religious mythology and all that with evolutionary science and fitness and evolutionary psychology, so that we begin to recreate something like that. I think Brett Weinstein did a little bit of good work in that regard. David Sloan Wilson did some good stuff. Me, Diego Calero, I did some better stuff. But I do think that like Gen Z in particular has a more natural like understanding of these obvious things. Like, yes, all religions are false. Also, like these are games that you can play, and some of those games are objectively better, and it's totally okay to play the same game as the other local people, right? Like if you're a furry and you live amongst furries and you have like a furry fetish, and and being a furry is really cool for you, go be a furry. If you're a Mormon and you live amongst other Mormons and there's a bunch of Mormons around you, then by all means talk about the golden plates day and night and hang out with them. And if you were like stranded, but you're rich and you love going to the desert and being given and you're very altruistic, then become one of us and become like a Burning Man religion type person. And, we watch the temple burn every year after the man burns. I just think that, like, I don't know if there's a way to like save the Gen X or the boomers who got traumatized and are living in this constant like PTSD against Yahweh and the gods and whatever. But for the millennials and especially the Gen Z, I think that we are very salvageable, you know. So if you are a Gen Z person who's like you is like more than 130, just skip all these like intermediate steps, like of the like skip the propositional stuff, skip the religious stuff, and start asking the really interesting questions. Okay, religions are all false. It doesn't matter. What really matters is religions create communities. Some communities are better than others. It's super interesting to inquire. You should learn anything you can, get the good things from many different religions, but also like choose one of those systems and then participate in it and get all the benefits from, you know, paying the high costs of pretending to be a participant in that particular ideology, right? Like there was a reason why, you know, it takes a lot of sacrifice and of claiming things that are false for people to accept you into Mormonism. Because like if you are willing to say that like this guy and he fought the golden plates and the seer stones and the angel Moroni and like Jesus lived in America and you know Native Americans are whites, then you were willing to pay a massive cost to participate in an awesome party, and then you get to have like 5 children and have a beautiful life with other people who are communitarian and helping you out. And if you're willing to like swallow dust in the desert and like spend 7 days giving gifts to other people without waiting for anything back, then you get to be a burner, you know? Like there's advantages to being a Catholic too. They're just not for the kind of personality that I happen to have. But you know, I understand that like if you're a lower openness person and you want to have some level of control over your family in a particular way, like being a Catholic is a good thing. So think of these religions as technologies and then evaluate them on an ethical basis and on an anthropological basis, and stop with the stupid SB bullshit of just evaluating the propositional content. I think that the new atheists basically caused a lot of harm to religion in the 21st century in the sense that they just created this stunted development moment where they made a lot of the 120 IQ community that depends on us. You know, we are the people who teach them, we are the people who lead them, and I think we failed them by making them like spend a lot of time just in this like debate mode, aggressively trying to attack something that like it literally should have, the entire conversation about religion should have lasted 12 minutes, and then we should have moved on to like which one is the most interesting and which one should you join. So choose a religion, join it. All of them are equally false. It doesn't matter. Find the one that fits you and have a good time. Enjoy. It's a great technology. It's been around since forever. It's not going anywhere, and you're missing out on it if you spend your whole life debating.